Hello and welcome back for Game 2, and it's OpTic Gaming versus Clutch Gaming. And before we jump into this one, let's take a look at the starting rosters. On the blue side is going to be Clutch Gaming. Their top laner is Huni, their jungler Lyra, Demonte in mid, Piglet in the bot lane alongside support Vulcan with their coach McScrag.
And opposite them, going to be choosing red side for the game, it's OpTic Gaming. In the top lane, Dokla, jungler Dardoch, mid laner Crown, bot and support will be Arrow and Big with coach Zabatine.
And so let's talk about OpTic a bit because they have finally picked up their first win in a lot of games. It was a big loss streak, and it was their sort of intended, their original sort of what you expected starters for them. But after picking up that win, Meteos is now out, and Dardoch is in for this game. And of course, Dardoch had gone 2-2 with the team. It's something that I think some people were looking for as a swap even before that win coming through.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, though, would say Meteos have been playing well individually, but things had not necessarily been working as a whole, right? So the team is off to a poor start, but it's clear they're trying to still figure out exactly which 5 players make the best team on stage. And Dardoch has been a strong LCS player for a couple of years now, so they're trying him with the intended bot lane starting that he was not playing with in those first couple weeks.
And maybe unexpectedly, they're up against actually a stronger test maybe in this Clutch Gaming, because when you take a look what happened yesterday, it feels like maybe they found a style that actually fits them and they can start picking some wins up.
Yeah, which is definitely exciting for Clutch Gaming. Piglet in the interview was talking with Avali and Huni, and he was saying, hey, I have a lot more of these style of picks, referring to the Aurelia pick that he played. He talked about playing Yasuo and Victor and Cassio and all these different champions that he could bring down to the bot lane. The players also felt like they were on the same page. It was consistent aggression, and Huni even spoke about how Piglet having a lead felt like it took some of the pressure off of Huni and allowed him to have a better game for himself. And he was great on the Cassio because he said he didn't feel like he had to overextend and make something happen because the rest of the team was doing well.
Yeah, and definitely overextending to try to build a lead tends to work badly. I feel like Huni's had a sad sort of slow decline in his performance, and it feels like he's almost getting on worse and worse teams where he's pushing himself harder and harder, and it's beyond the limits of what his champions are capable of. And if he does start feeling confident in Demonte and Piglet and the rest of his lineup, then maybe he goes back to the old Huni form where he was the best top laner in NA instead of one of the worst performing ones that it's been like for the last maybe half year or so. And if this all does line up, then Clutch Gaming go back to being scary, and we've had Lyra be the all LCS jungler. Piglet's been the best AD carry in the world before. Huni's been the best top player in the West before. Like, these are all players that can get back to that level. Yeah,
they certainly can. And if they were all able to do so at the same time, they would be fearsome indeed. Let's speak more about Huni. You can see this guy streaming. You can see this guy playing in solo queue, and he is still a monster. You know, he's very good mechanically. But it has been the decision-making, I think, more than the individual ability that is often questioned. Even when he puts himself in a good position, sometimes overreaching, feeling like you need to make something happen, unless you're far superior to your opponents, it is going to be easily punished.
Well, this will be the 4th different lineup here for OpTic Gaming. This is Dardoch with the, again, sort of intended or LCS or whatever bottom lane of Arrow and Big together. And I want to see how competitive this side of the roster looks here, as Crown has been the one player to start every single game for OpTic so far this year in game number 10.
And it is interesting because Dardoch and Meteos, I think, are two fairly different junglers. Dardoch people look at as this guy who's going to be really, really aggressive, who is more hot or cold, whereas Meteos is kind of more of the guy who's going to try to play for consistency. He's going to try to play for farm, play around vision control and objectives and all of that sort of style. So we'll see if having Dardoch in the lineup here can get things going for them, as I did think that Crown looked better in the first 2 weeks alongside Dardoch, so that is certainly one area it felt like things were working.
Yep. One thing I want to point out actually is Lucian is 100% presence across NA LCS, or just LCS, this entire year, and for this patch, it's been 100% ban rate. We almost never get to see Lucian actually played here in the LCS, so it's actually allowed through, immediately snapped up by Clutch. And to your point, if from earlier, Piglet's like, hey, I want to play more mages, I want to go and play my sort of, not off-meta style, but still a little bit unorthodox. Like, no, go back playing a marksman, and it allows OpTic to grab the champs they want on their first phase, and it's going to be this Thresh right away and a Jace, which can be scary in North America.
And there is still potential that this Lucian could be going elsewhere. He infamously has played some Lucian top games. Certainly are expecting Lucian Braum to be the bot lane duo, though. As you say, it has been far and away considered the #1 marksman. OpTic may have a bit of a plan of their own and how to answer it. The Thresh did come out. We'll see if the Jace wanted to go bot or something along those lines. So try to match power for power down on the bottom side. But that's the other thing with Clutch is they do have some of these guys who are really kind of known for their picks. The Alistar was amazing from Vulcan, made some huge plays yesterday. Cassio is Huni's best champion, in my opinion. He was fantastic on it yesterday, and it's his best solo queue pick. So they're taking away some of these individual picks that these guys are so good at, and that is going to leave some of the generic power picks up.
Yeah, and what I find kind of interesting as well is I am curious who's going to play the engaged tank, who's going to play the front line on Clutch Gaming here, because when I think of their players, I think of Demonte as sort of, he's really good on the champion, like a Kali or LeBlanc, whatever, but I mean, it's weird because like one of his best games was on the Galio, so I don't want to discount him entirely, but I don't feel like Huni is a great Maokai, and Vulcan's on Braum, who's probably the most defensive of the tanks here, so who's going to start the fights to let Clutch Gaming play hyper aggro is a question I have.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because at the same time, while a lot of people would not think of Huni as a tank player, his SKT days did actually involve a lot of tank play.
Yeah.
And there are still certainly playmaking tanks, such as a Poppy, right? And I think things like that may more fit his style. We saw Impact yesterday playing something along the Silas lines, where he can go these kind of tanky AP builds, and I think he can fill a similar role. But we'll see who is going to fill that role. And you know, it looks to me like Clutch is trying to bait out a Scion pick from Dokla, maybe. You know, when you do see that there is double top lane bans like that, and Scion is kind of conspicuously off the ban page, but it could just be that Jace is going top and Zoe is mid, and the solo laners are already decided. We have to kind of wait and see if it's going to be flexed around.
Sure. The nice thing for OpTic here is they can pick their jungler at the beginning of this next round and simply wait to flex that Jace between Arrow and Dokla. Those are the two roles he's really going to go for here. There's the Ezreal ban I was waiting to see, because OpTic clearly have the makings of a poke comp here. Thresh can bring you out. Jace and Zoe obviously have the long-range poke, so Ezreal cannot round that out here, so instead it will be... are they actually going to pick Kai'Sa here right away? Again, they don't need to rush this one, because I think it's worthwhile to pretend Jace might not go top lane and just give Huni the guaranteed counter pick.
Yeah, it is a little bit weird when you are doing that, but the reasoning that I generally think there is for a pick like this in this order is simply you're saying, okay, Dardoch has a very non-standard pick, or he has a pick that is contingent upon what else the other team is going to play. Okay, if two more squishy picks come in, Rengar, right? If some tanks come in, okay, we're team fighting Sejuani. And I think that makes sense, you know, when you are looking at it like that, but it does give up the idea of having any potential counter pick on the other side, and you can end in a situation where if you pick red side and you're sitting there and you get no counter pick and your special jungle pick doesn't get to come out, well then you just had a draft disadvantage.
Yeah, you ended up exactly. They ended up picking around you pretty well, and I do like what Clutch Gaming are picking up here though. By the way, right there's that Malphite for Huni, right? There's the engaged tank to knock down the poke. Syndra's probably the most engaged focused million you could have found. Again, Galio could have worked with Nocturne, but now Clutch have found the way in, so Clutch, this poke might get turned around pretty quickly, and we already know Jace is stuck up there in a Malphite, which does not feel like a good matchup.
And I feel like now, if Dardoch does not bring out some sort of magic damage jungler, then Malphite has such a good time up in the top lane, because you're itemizing against Jace, you want to stack armor.
Okay, it's Jace jungle. It's Jace jungle.
Okay.
That was the flexible part. We've seen Jace jungle in Academy, we've seen one on the LCS stage as well, so it's putting Jace down there to bring in the Malphite so that they can pick up one of the hardest counter picks possible in the Vladimir, and that's the style coming out there.
Yeah, and this is really, really smart. I think how they actually flex these picks around. You know, even Huni clearly thought, okay, well now it's for sure the Jace, so I do think that they were able to really outsmart them, flexing again another time, because now not only do you have a physical damage jungler as well as the magic damage top, Huni is going to have to be in. This is such a miserable matchup. This is really, truly one of the worst matchups you can play, it feels like, in top lane.
It's one of the worst.
Because Malphite really wants to be stacking that armor. You're going to have to at least go for a cowl, and it can be very, very tough to deal with the Vladimir, who can even do things like Klepto Vladimir and sit there and farm off you, can harass you very easily under the turret. You become pretty dependent on jungle assistance, and Nocturne's not exactly the guy to get up there and really punish a Vladimir in the early game.
No, he's not, but we'll see if they can turn it around somehow. Clutch Gaming have found themselves a bunch of hard engage, but a very, very bad matchup in the top lane. Lyra's now going to be going against a jungle Jace, one he played a couple weeks ago himself, and We'll see how he fares in this one, as OpTic Gaming are a bit light on frontline. It's only an Aftershock Thresh to hold that, so if team fights do happen, that can be scary. They can get pushed through. Lucian might just have a field day. Malphite has a lot of good targets. These are all things to be concerned about as we load into the game, as OpTic try to find a lineup that works. They are one win away from being tied for a playoff position, and Clutch Gaming are in those exact same shoes. Even the bottom of the table have a fighting chance at the LCS here. Let's get onto the rift. Let's see who can pick up a win.
This is some very interesting comps. I do think that Clutch has a much more straightforward and easy to run comp. Malphite presses R, Nocturne presses R, you go forward, you team fight. Whereas on the side of OpTic, I think that Zoe and Jace have to be poking and trying to whittle people down, and then maybe there comes the follow-up where Dokla then tries to get a flank and hard engage with the Vladimir himself and try to do something like that. But as far as straight up 5v5, both teams smashing into each other, you really have to favor Clutch.
Yeah, that might be the case, but we have an inside word. We've got a word with Zabutin on the sideline for what he thinks about how this game is going to look like.
Thanks, guys. Zabutin, we see that you've subbed in Dardoch for Meteos today. What was the decision behind that?
Josh is bringing a lot of, Dardoch is bringing a lot of different options for the team in draft and in game. And so, for instance, the Jace flags today. So I feel it's just a different set of options, and I think that it would be easier for us to use a different set of options for today, for today's game. And this is something maybe we can see more in the future.
Well, we're excited to see how that Jace works. Zabutin, thank you. Back to you guys.
Well, different options, the reason for bringing this one in, and certainly I would say the biggest edge OpTic do have are that flex pick with Vladimir into a very free matchup where he could maybe take over the game. Dokla, back when he played in Academy, had just absolutely absurdly good laning phase, carry stats, high damage share, and feels like the high damage share is going to need to be the name of the game here in this one in Vladimir vs. Malphite with no tanks versus hard engage.
Yep, and you can see Huni was trying to pull the wave there. He did actually stack his opponent's wave a little bit, but the minion aggro seemed to go pretty wonky there. I'm actually
Minion aggro is pretty much
surprised.
hard code on the first wave. It's not really possible to manipulate much.
Yeah, generally you can get at least one minion advantage, and it is going to stack and still shove because it is grouped closer towards the OpTic side. So generally what he's trying to do here is just make sure that the wave is not frozen on him. You'd rather be kind of taking this in a safe area, and he's hoping that this means he's not exposed to any potential Dardoch gank. We know the Dardoch's on the bot side of the map, but Huni obviously does not, and we will let you know as soon as we find out what this pause is going to be. But certainly some very interesting matchups here across the board. As you say, Lucian has not gotten through at all this patch in the LCS, so first time Lucian is going to be able to come out. Malphite, we did see as an answer, actually from Solo, I do believe, into the Jace matchup, so Huni tried to kind of recreate the magic that he had there, but OpTic has had a very clever draft.
Yeah, it has been really clever. It's just a matter of it working out in the end. This is just, it's going to be, I feel like, the name of the game, and we're going to repeat it a lot during this game, is there are compositional elements on a 5v5 level that favor one side, and compositional elements on a 1v1 side that really favor the other. Like, again, the Vladimir Malphite is going to be a huge wedge in this game that the game can completely tilt over. However, it's Nocturne Cinder Malphite versus no tank. Someone's going to die when those R buttons are pressed, and it's, well, if Malphite can just be stuck in the side lane because Dokla's pressuring turrets constantly, and Dardoch puts up enough pressure that you can't just give this away, then Malphite can never ult the Kai'Sa because he's defending his turrets the whole time. Yeah,
and it is really interesting, and that becomes down to a style thing where it's, you know, do you prioritize lane matchups? Do you prioritize team comps? Is it a balance? You know, where does the needle lay for each team and each coach? And I think that is something that we're kind of seeing a bit here, where certainly lane matchup in the top side was really heavily prioritized, but you would still kind of favor Lucian Braum in the bot lane 2v2. And mid lane matchup, I think, is fairly skill-based, so we will see as Dardoch is looking for an early invade, but Lyra is going to find him, and Crown's trying to push this in, so... Oh, Lyra got it.
Early smite for Dardoch means it's easy to take over that big raptor. The rest of the small ones get taken, and hey, most of the gold goes to Dardoch, but about half the XP goes to Lyra, and they both lost smite for it. It's still a partial steal. I still can't hate too much. There's still more camps to take for the Jace at the end of it all. But, you know, feels bad to smite for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely still a decent play here from Dardoch, but yeah, poor smite. It could have obviously been better for him, but just wasn't expecting Lyra to be there, clearly. And that is why you generally only want a smite to secure, unless you really know where the jungler is, or there's some kind of extra circumstances that are happening. But Dardoch will be clearing his way back up to the top side, and we'll be able to get an early base on, and then we'll decide to see where it goes.
Yeah, I think he was expecting vertical jungling out of Lyra. He's like, well, you know, he started over there, I started over there. He's going to come top side and take my camps away. And Lyra just did a full clear on left-hand side and came down, and maybe it surprised him. Either way, though, it is still more camps for the Jace long term, and that feels pretty good. If Nocturne is delayed to 6 because he only got half his Raptors, that's solid for OpTic Gaming. That's the power spike you're trying to delay, and because of 6 small Raptors going away, it has been. Nice hook right here. That was good damage. One more shot, but it's all blocked by that shield, and Vulcan stays at half HP.
Yeah, and it is interesting because Jace is not exactly an early game ganking jungler either, right? You know, Nocturne, oftentimes we talk about, okay, well, you got to shut this guy down. You got to make something happen before you get 6. You want to try to be proactive, but Jace is not really that. It is still kind of a scaling jungler as well. It's someone who's going to want to try to build up some items, who is going to try to lift a play around pressure, around objectives, and utilizing the poke that he does have, because his ganks are really not that impressive unless you can kind of just straight up get behind someone and run them down.
Yep, well, so far it's just the first recalls coming through for both these players. Dardoch up a long sword for his efforts, and Lyra's Nocturne sitting topside in case there's some kind of gank to be had, as he takes down the Gromp on the first respawn of his jungle monsters. Otherwise, par for the course here. Pretty typical lethal tempo, high damage available if he gets into a 1v1.
Yeah, I've got to say I'm a little bit surprised that Dokla didn't decide to go Klepto. So, you know, Phase Rush is much more about the team fight. You know, it does have a lot of power there, but a lot of the reason that people love these sort of matchups is that you can just simply farm gold off of the Malphite and then, you know, get to your 1-2 items much quickly, and then try to get to the team fight with that and utilize that as the power. This is a bit of a different style, and it's also something where Huni's never going to even have a chance of running you down, because the only hope I've ever really seen for a Malphite in the 1v1 in this matchup is a Q-Max where you kind of just run him down. But you know, with Phase Rush, you're going to be able to remove the Q slow and simply kite him out. So there's not really any hope in the 1v1 you would think for Huni, but going to recall for an early Catalyst and likely working towards Abyssal, which I think is a pretty solid answer.
Yep, that's going to be decent for him, and he'll be able to even spam mana to get health back, so should be able to survive for at least somewhat. One small chicken taken away from Dardoch on the attempted invade. Had the timer about right, but it was cleared pretty quickly by Lyra. So level 5 is first for the Nocturne. He's actually doing a good job of farming despite losing, you know, half a camp to invades earlier.
And Nocturne is really good at clearing the AoE camps thanks to his passive and the Q as well. So going to be able to cleave down a lot of those camps fairly quickly, and certainly going to be hitting level 6 quite fast.
Yeah.
Should be able to get it, I think, with the red buff respawn, and then look for his first additional gank. And Huni's even roaming down here, which is a smart play. You can't really get much done in
And the flash, good flash away by Crown, and flash with the ulti, and look, misses a single minion for all the efforts, so good reaction by Crown. I like the attempt for Huni, almost succeeded.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's honestly worthwhile for Huni. You're not going to get anything done in the 1v1, so roam elsewhere. That is the way that you play some of these losing matchups, right? If you can't beat the person in the 1v1, go elsewhere. Try to get Demonte an advantage that he can maybe capitalize on, because hey, maybe now Lyra hitting level 6, Demonte is level 6, Crown doesn't have a flash. Yes, he did pick up one, but when that is gone, maybe that's someone you can attack with double ultimates and get a kill there.
Yeah, round 2, 5 minutes, and it's only about 2 to get your Malphite ulti back, so watch for this one. At about 9 minutes into the game, this could be a really big deal, and that could start wedging this game open, using the Malphite in places other than the lane he's in. He's spellbooked over to his Ignite, in case he does find a stronger battle in the near future. As Vulcan sets up this Scuttle Crab, it's already been stunned. Easy kill for Lyra.
Yep, very easy for him. He is going to be spotted likely by that pink horde. Not quite sure if he got just in range, but he is level 6 now, and they're actually looking to take away the blue buff here from Jace, which is going to be quite nice, taking that away from Crown or Dardoch, whoever would have grabbed that. Both those champions certainly do like to have the blue, and he is sitting on double buffs, level 6. We'll see if they are going to try to return back to mid lane now, as Crown won't have that extra flash that he picked up anymore, and his flash is still going to be down. With Syndra at 6, with Lyra at 6, I want to see them being proactive with this.
Decent poke coming out here. Do you want to give a quick recount on what Piglet's been doing so far for those who haven't been able to see much Lucian and Pro, because banned every game. It's 3 points W with a Doran's Ring, and you simply spam W for poke and wave clear. And even though this has happened, he really doesn't have much of a CS lead against a better scaling bot lane or in the Kai'Sa. So you know, I don't really think Clutch are getting a lot out of this Lucian so far.
And one of the things I really don't like about how they're playing this lane is that they still haven't based in here at over 70 CSs. In they go!
There's the round for top side. Hemoflag pop, decent healing, trying to get away. Is still feared though, but he's got the empowered Q. A second heal coming in, but now there's no flash away, and Lyra is still chasing with the red buff, and they will get first blood top lane.
Nicely done. The Spellbook Ignite plus the ultimate lands, and Lyra comes up. It takes everything. But they do train down Dokla, and that was a big kill for Huni up on the top side. But the fact that you're actually just handshaking to never base in the bot lane when you're playing a weaker
Oh
scaler.
my word, that damage! No real flash, burns the heal. There's the pickup! And uses Demonte's own spells against him. A great kill in the mid.
That damage was insane. Dardoch hitting the Shock Blast and getting the Dark Harvest proc there. Just knocks him down. We can see this one more time as Huni is on the Ignite, knows that Lyra's in range, hit the ultimate, brought the Ignite right off the bat, so the healing is going to be reduced, but it was a good job here, honestly, by Dokla. Hits the double ult, lands the empowered Q, but is just going to get trained down as Lyra flashed in. The cooldowns are too long at this stage in the game, and then the trade kill back here on the top side as Crown lands a really nice sleep into a Shock Blast that just obliterates him. And the pick up
There,
on
he
the
knows
flash right
that's
there.
a free flash.
Yeah, exactly. Just really well done, honestly, from Crown and Dardoch. It was great follow-up on the sleep and really well timed so that both their skill shots could hit with that sleepy double level.
Definitely. Some damage towards Demonte, who's not pushing up. He knows he's a flashless Syndra, and that can be scary. It's a little unfortunate. Of course, he didn't know Jace was coming. He had the cleanse and never popped it. He could have dodged some skill shots there. But this is now a pretty well-traded game. Equal gold on all sides. Bot lane lead non-existent, top lane only plus 15, which is, I would actually argue is probably about average for this matchup. I think that seems about reasonable. But that one kill coming through certainly really good. Now Huni has gone to a different combat center. Now he's got Exhaust, and his ult is back up. He wants to try to find Crown, whose flash is still down.
Yeah, and you can see Huni is itemizing very heavily towards the matchup. So he does have a Cowl. He grabbed an additional Null after that, so it could be an adaptive. It could be, going into Merc Treads or something along those lines. But he's certainly not going to be as tanky when he runs into Dardoch and Arrow. But that being said, you need to be able to survive this matchup and get to a reasonable state. And Huni's certainly doing a good job of that. I think his initial roam to mid lane, forcing the flash there was great, and then pairing up with Lyra to get another kill was still good. And Lyra has his ultimate back, so does Huni, so there is a small window where they could look for Crown, but I doubt they're going to be able to find it because Crown knows they're around.
Well, there's a bubble. And yeah, you can't spell through the back half of it, but it doesn't matter. There's no follow-up anyway, and Lyra's just fine. Dokla just looking for small trades and get his health bar up. Huni is once again out of mana here, and without burning Exhaust, actually can't TP back to lane, so he has to keep that in mind at some point. Dokla, of course, is sustaining. Should be just fine as he moves towards his items. Vulcan coming back down the lane as you still have Dardoch waiting in the wings. He's shadowing bot lane in case there's a play, and hooking, gonna only hit that minion.
He's still just out of sight, so if they can get them to actually go forward.
You can see Vic really trying for this one. He's in range for a flay pretty soon, but Vic can dash if he gets in there. It's not gonna matter.
Yeah, and as Dardoch goes over into the river, he likely will get spotted, but is just going to try to throw down some poke first, and not bad. He'll at least get the Guardian out. It's worth throwing that down as he knows he's going to be spotted by that pink ward anyway, which he did then clear out.
So some quick ward kills around the river, and we still have a very close game in this one. These teams are just a simple win away from a spot in the playoffs. If they can win one here, they'd be tied for 6th, and what a way to start your second round robin. Waiting though for the next play, a nice bit of damage to the front line, so he's gonna make good stopwatch. And now he has to try to block the lantern, but can't do so. It's gonna be Crown getting to safety, a good lantern out from Big.
That was such a well-timed stopwatch there from Crown. The ult damage didn't even actually come through from Lyra, otherwise he would have gone down, so very quick fingers there, and Big, credit to him, right place, right time. It doesn't even cost Crown a summoner. Just a stopwatch, and he is able to get out.
Okay, so safety here, still pretty close in gold. You're waiting for the next big play, as that's of course a pretty long cooldown out of Lyra, but doing just fine. Crown is forced under his turret.
Yep, here it is one more time. Lyra sitting around. They are able to land the initial combo. Scatter the Weak comes through. Ult comes out, but he stopwatches before the ultimate damage does come down. Really valuable stopwatch there, and then able to get out before the Fear Leash comes through.
Yep.
Great positioning from Big.
Yeah, and even with the controller that was put down by Lyra there, it was, of course, Crown able to get the part of the model he needed that wasn't attacking a ward, and yeah, that's good damage towards Damonte.
Yeah, Dardoch being pretty annoying with that, just kind of showing up mid lane, throwing down that shock blast. Able to knock him down pretty low here, now back up to the top side as Huni is doing well against Dokla. Remember, Huni has no MR.
Yeah, no armor.
Sorry, armor,
yeah,
yeah.
I know what you meant, of course. He's building for the Vladimir, which means actually for now, Dardoch can have a decent chance against him. Burns the spellbook heal just to get himself some distance and put that thing back on cooldown and actually pop Sunny Fruit for Huni. Thanks, Dardoch. I guess they were old teammates, so he's like, hey, bud, how you doing? We're both down here, but hoping to get the win against his old friend.
And Huni cycling through a lot of these spellbook summoners so far. You know, has worked through the Ignite, the Exhaust, now the heal. He's going to be getting that first round of completion pretty quick, and as you get through that, the cooldowns get shorter and shorter, and you can really start to get more and more access to summoners, which is going to be great for a playmaking champion like the Malphite. Every time you want to go for an ult, it's an easy way to get one of those summoners in and get that use out of it. But for Clutch, it's really, to me, just still about playing around the ultimates. Every time Lyra has his ultimate, every time Huni has his ultimate, I want to see this team being proactive, getting out there and trying to get things done with that, because that is really the windows in which you are so much stronger. When you're comparing a Nocturne to a Jace, it's all about that ultimate.
Unless you really think that you're just going to win late game and you don't need to play aggro, they're going to get a nice chunk in the mid lane yet again. Sometimes people just play risk averse. I agree, these fights could be had. Oh my gosh, the damage! Crown! The king in the mid lane takes one out, and Big finds a hook on a Vulcan as well. Suddenly OpTic pick up 2 kills in lanes.
And you could see the frustration on Damonte's face there, head in hands, as he gets solo killed by Crown. Just a straight up outplay. He knows he was the one who had the advantage of the start. They forced the flash with Huni's roam, and Crown has been just a beast in the mid lane now. Damonte visibly frustrated with that kill.
Clutch Gaming might be a team really based on momentum, and it's going away from them. This is an uphill game for them now as they move towards the mid lane, but this is all summoners up on Crown. And that's
Big is there again.
Yep. Now Moby's Thrash, he's doing a really good job here. He's got one of the kills in the team. Top lane outer is felled for the efforts of Huni going to the mid lane yet again. And maybe it's not a lot of CS, maybe it's not a lot of kills, but there is a gold lead and a turret lead in that top lane.
Yeah, and the initial chunk onto Damonte has him very, very low, but he has Cleanse and Flash. Just everything connects. The Cleanse even gets wasted there from Damonte, as I think that was a bit of a panic summoner. He'd gotten hit by the Q, nothing to cleanse there. Clearly very frustrated with his play. Knows now you have the Cleanse, and that's down too, so if you get hit by another sleep, you could just die again.
Yeah, part of that misplay, I think Damonte also knew, like, he had Flash up. He saw the E coming. This was definitely a player of his skill. Could see it coming, could have simply pressed the button, and just, it's a misplay, and look, it happens, and it feels bad, and he knows he could have done better. This time he does dodge the Q, this time he does dodge the bubble, playing more to what he expects of himself.
And Crown, certainly having a really good game here in those early weeks. I think Crown had been extremely impressive. These last couple weeks, there has been a lot less talk about Crown and his individual performances, but off to a great start here once again, and in a position where he could be huge in this game. There's a lot of good targets to poke.
Yep, just a little chunk down on Damonte here, and just saying, hey, have some mid pressure, have some more mid pressure, and slowly but surely, it's looking pretty good for OpTic. This bot lane turret has barely really taken damage, maybe at 2/3, which with equal farm is still not what you want out of Lucian versus Kai'Sa.
Yeah, really not any advantages there, and Vladimir has certainly gotten the advantages in the top side. Got the first turret solo, up 20 CS, despite getting first blooded. They're looking for another kill on Vlad.
Okay, well, he is down into the pool, but coming back up now. This could be the fear, the nice knock up there. It's gonna be a chain of crowd control, and you can't even pop the Q anymore, so Dokla taken down to the 2-on-1, same as last time, but it's the only kills Clutch even have.
Yeah, Huni even using the Ghost to just be point blank, so there was no way Dokla could actually flash the ultimate there. So hard to react when he's already right on top of you like that. So Lyra and Huni do combine for another kill. But you have to wonder, is it the right place to be going? Malphite is going to get stronger, but at the same time, he's probably never going to win against the Vladimir despite that. So, when you have Lucian here just kind of farming against this Kai'Sa, Kai'Sa's already on the IE, going to be working towards the Rage Blade, should have the Q evolve with the double pickaxe build. So, not really much going for Clutch on the bottom side.
Yeah, it just feels like, I guess, where they can do it. It's the lane with crowd control against an isolated champion, so I guess it's where they're looking.
Yeah, Big just feels like he has just been roaming around pretty much the whole time, and they're just leaving this bot lane in isolation, farming. Big has constantly been hovering around mid, being ready to protect Crown from any potential attacks, trying to secure vision from the river and trying to get deep wards as much as they can. They really are trying to track wherever Lyra could be and shut down any potential Nocturne ultimates, and they've been doing a pretty good job of it, but Lyra has had a couple effective ones and is going to be working towards the Black Cleaver, a very CDR-heavy build there, and you will be at 30% with Cleaver plus Warrior, which is going to set you at a nice short ultimate cooldown now that he is level 11.
That'll be fun. Get those spells out, try to kill some people.
That's
Point
true.
of League of Legends, press your buttons while clicking on your opponents. Tends to go well. That's my style. Press your buttons. Shout out Atlas. Either way, back in the mid lane as blue buff is grabbed up on both these sides. Thank you, junglers.
But Damonte is down 2 levels now, so pretty huge disadvantage there, even just in the experience. It's interesting because they are even in farm, but Crown has picked up so much more XP, which is going to be a decent amount of additional stats, and Damonte does ding 13 there, so
Nice.
we'll be catching up a bit, but certainly Crown in a really good spot, and OpTic looking to just execute on this poke comp, but they are not really able to kind of turn up the pace too much. Damonte has been still clearing around mid lane, and they always have to be worried about any potential hard engage coming in here from Clutch. So both teams pretty content with how the game is playing out, but it has been a fairly slow-paced one. We'll see if they want to move down and fight around this Cloud Dragon.
Okay, decent damage could be found here. Nice shield up for Vulcan, though, means it's Huni is fine. Either way, he was MR stacked, so it probably wasn't going to be too big of a deal. But they're waiting for the next big play as this Cloud Drake is up in 12 seconds, and that's damage on a Vulcan.
Shield for that one, so back to base with you, and that alone may get them enough priority to just start up the Dragon. This is just good poke from Crown. The first one got the Guardian, as well as the shield out from Vulcan. Second one, he drops a Knight that he had actually picked up and sends Vulcan right back to base, and Huni has to go top.
If OpTic's been close of attention, actually, Huni literally cannot get to bot lane right now. His TP is currently Ignite, and no one's in his lane. Either way, yep, Cloud Drake is a formality, picked up without any issues at all. As you mentioned, the Braum got sent back. We actually saw Nocturne recalling. It was in fog, but he was recalling, and that's a quick pickup there, and OpTic have 2 Drakes.
It's honestly just on the back of Crown. He hits 2 combos. So the first one forces the shield. The second one forces it back to base. And then they say, okay, we're not going to fight this with a low HP Braum. Huni needs to get back up to the top side, and it's another Dragon going the way of OpTic. So slowly extend this lead. Oh, nice
That's
pull.
good on reflex. There we go. Dokla finally able to dodge one of those ultimates. It was a max range one, and that was good play here. But the dual lane's been sent up, plus Lyra, so there's going to be a turret taken out, and Clutch should be able to tie up the turret score, and no one is bot lane to answer this pressure. Just gets the game a little bit closer. It was about 1,000 gold apart. That lead will be halved here, and the money goes over to Piglet.
Certainly well played there by Dokla, but it is what I expect a pro to be able to do on land when there's no ping.
Sure.
If a max range ultimate lands and you have abilities to dodge it, then that is certainly a mistake, right?
Yeah.
But the flash Malphite ult is certainly a lot harder, or a point blank one is very, very hard, and that's where it does get a lot more tricky. But if you cannot consistently force summoners, then hey, if you come to a team fight, everyone has their flash available, all of a sudden it can be very difficult for Malphite to really get a good target and be able to connect with that.
For sure. Well, look where people have sent now, as Arrow is top lane, and this is a bit scary to be in because both turrets are gone up there, so it's a long runway for a Nocturne where Cinder takes you down in. And even Illusion, he probably still feels pretty good about that 1v1. 2 completed items, no Rage Blade yet for that Kai'Sa. Dokla spots Huni again and can't even break the shield on a Q anymore. Ignite is used, and suddenly Dokla's at half HP. He knows Huni could have the ult up available as well, so he's got to watch out for that one. Empowered heal comes through, but they're trading blows, and Huni is feeling a little bit more comfortable. Waiting in case there is a dive, but the mana pool's big enough, he's spamming Qs and keeping Dokla at base somewhat.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, but you know, at this point in the game, there's a max Q and max E here for Dokla, and the Ignite is really what kind of chunked him out a bit. It's going to be very hard to ever get enough damage down yourself to do it. With Lucian now sneaking down here into the bush and Lyra around, they can go.
There's the hard engage. Dokla pops the ult, channels the E. Here's a chunk coming out as well, trying to dodge from the culling, and will get healed from the ult, so now they're re-engaged, and suddenly Vladimir is too tanky to be killed off. Dardoch gets one, pops a stopwatch, and they can't even block the Lantern. He gets away to safety,
Comes
and
Crown.
a Flay catches Lyra. He has Flay flash. Does he need it, though? Waits to burn it, finally does. Now Crown on the top side in a 1 versus 2. Not found just yet. Dardoch low. Huni gets the shot flash, but still dies. 2 for 1 overall. OpTic might choose to keep fighting, but Kai'Sa is free farming top lane, so they're happy to take that push and take the extra kill.
And Dokla gets a shutdown off of Huni there as he picked up another kill onto Dardoch right before he goes down. So certainly a good play there from OpTic. They're not quite able to burst out Dokla. Dardoch was there very quickly, and again, big, right place, right time. This guy really has been everywhere, following the action so incredibly well. It's paying off for the team as second solo turret knocked down there by Dokla.
Yep, 150 extra gold above what the kill would normally give goes over to that Vladimir, plus 450, and as the outer turret is taken and the top lane is shoved all the way in, they can now spot Lucian in a defensive position. And it's the farm and farm and farm. As we watch this fight once again, Dokla back at full HP.
Yep, Dokla stepping up. That is a really hard one to actually react to. The culling not quite on point here from Piglet, though, is only able to land a couple of the bullets and then pretty slow to actually cancel it. So they could not finish Dokla off. Plus, there was no ultimate, or sorry, Ignite to actually negate the ultimate healing there from the Vladimir. And then his crown roams down. Big was certainly first to the play. And Huni just barely able to trade one back. But OpTic just faster to react to these plays, and it feels like Big, for the second day in a row, has been so effective. Yesterday on the Tom Kench felt like he was very, very good. Today again on the Thresh has been everywhere.
He has been. It's weird because the KP is only 2 out of 5. That feels low, but 2 more of those are saving someone who would have died.
Exactly.
And so it's almost fraudulent calling it only a 40% KP right here. Either way, though, mid lane will still fall, and the objectives are still being traded equally. The game only 1,800 apart. This is certainly within reach. I know it's OpTic making more of the good plays, but Clutch are holding on pretty nicely here, and this is certainly within reach as Dardoch will grab the blue onto himself, and we position up for the next major objective. 30 seconds to the Mountain Drake. Dokla able to play so far forward, has the TP up, getting big chunks off this turret, knocks it down already.
Yeah, it's just so tough because who do you actually send to answer this guy? He'll 1v1 Damonte or Piglet pretty easily if he gets on top of them. So Huni has to try to be there to answer, but Huni can't actually threaten him unless Lyra is there too. And then even if Lyra shows up at a certain point, maybe the Vladimir can survive as he now has a stopwatch. So it's just such a tough matchup, and they're trying to deal with it, but it's kind of this ticking time bomb, and we'll see if Clutch can force fights around this to try to get some neutral objectives, try to get something done.
Nice little shock blast there. A couple seconds ago, Dokla was highest gold and the second highest level in the game. And with the mid pressure, Clutch can never even run down towards the river, and the 3rd straight Drake is picked up for OpTic. Turret damage actually pretty useful considering they are trying to split the team apart and let Vladimir split push. Mountain Drake will help them knock down those turrets a bit more easily, and that actually will pay forward based on playstyle.
And if you're sending Vladimir bot, which is what I'm expecting, the top outers are both gone, right? So you send Vladimir bot. If you send 2 to 3 members down to try to kill the Vladimir, well, guess what? Double Mountain, the Baron is available on the top side of the map. You could lose that very easily, so that should be the game plan here from OpTic. Split bot very aggressively with the Vladimir. I'm not even sure they can actually 2v1 him anymore. In fact, I think I would bet on him in a 2v1 against Huni and Lyra. He's sitting on stopwatch plus Zhonya, so he has double stasis. I don't think they're going to ever have enough damage to really kill him off.
Well, we can see them try as there's 4 in the mid lane and 3 defenders here for Clutch Gaming. And what you're going to see is Dokla will take some damage, and Huni will throw these Qs out. And then Dokla will wait 1 wave, Q 4 times, be back to near full HP. And Huni's health and mana doesn't come back nearly as fast. That's going to be sort of a repeated process here. A quick sleep, puts up the shield though, so he will block all the damage, but that cooldown is pretty long. And now he's on reduced power here, Vulcan. Once again, this fight in the bottom side, but Dokla Q's back up to above half HP, and as long as he has minions to farm off of, he'll be okay. But right now he's at half. And that's something that he has to kind of play around, because here comes the Nocturnal. Here comes the attempt. He's going to run off to the side, and he's going to be too low on health. He's already feared off. This will be an easy auto attack, and Dokla will actually drop, staying at half HP and sitting around. But here comes the counterplay. The push towards the top side. They know the jungler was seen in the bottom lane. Let's rush down the Baron. There is no possible smite. Big tries to buy some time. Smite should be a guarantee. It's indeed picked up, but now the team fight happens. 2 quick kills already picked up for Clutch Gaming, and make it a 3rd. And now it's only 1 left alive, as despite Baron being killed, it's 4 kills for Clutch.
Yeah, OpTic just completely fell apart there. You have Zhonya's stopwatch and pool. None of them are used to actually negate or immune the Nocturne ultimate coming in there. He completely bungled that play. And then on the other side of the map, they're trying to force this, but Huni didn't even blow his TP, so it's a teleporting Nocturne, or rather teleporting Malphite coming in with the ultimate available. So yeah, you get the Baron, but you lose 4 members. And Clutch looking very good in that exchange, pretty much closing the gold gap completely.
4-on-4, just slaughtering them inside the pit, and we can see this fight as Dokla is only at 1k, and he missed the empowered Q, so he's only got a basic one, and then yeah, doesn't immune anything from the Nocturne.
Yeah, he's trying to get a full combo out first and looking for the kill, but I think that you can simply, you don't need to make that play. The whole point of you splitting bot is to buy time for them to do Baron. So as he's coming in, you press stopwatch. As you come into the stopwatch, you press pool. As you come into that, you press Zonias. You waste all their time, you run back to the turret, you shouldn't even die, and then this should have been a free Baron on the other side of the map for OpTic. Instead, he's trying to get a full spell combo out. He tries to drop the E, the Q, and the ult. Has to worry about the spell shield. Takes so much damage before he even gets his pool out. Doesn't use Zonies or stopwatch and just dies. And that bought enough time for Clutch to respond to the Baron. So really what should have been an incredible play for OpTic ends up going Clutch's way, but it is still a very even game.
And it goes back to close here. It's only 500, 300 gold apart here with a Baron buff on one surviving member. So Arrow can buff up the minions around him and try to be the big carry. He's gone Hexdrinker to try to survive the Malphite and Syndra burst, but that will somewhat delay his overall damage output. I kind of would like to see Phantom Dancer would actually work against the Nocturne as well, but goes the Hexdrinker route. MR certainly not a bad choice against Double Flat Pen on this Syndra. See how that pays out later on, but certainly this feels with, again, easily within reach on both sides. And if the Vladimir split push isn't getting anything successful to happen, then suddenly every team fight will keep going Clutch Gaming's way.
Yeah, you would think so, but I mean, at the same time, if you can actually avoid the Malphite ultimate, if you're able to flash or dodge that out, then I think there's more than enough damage on OpTic's side to focus down the Malphite and maybe things start going your way. But that being said, the Vladimir split push should be going their way. That was certainly some big mistakes coming out of Dokla to actually have that turn of events, but if he's able to properly execute, he should be continuing to knock down these turrets. He's already got 3 by himself. He can certainly look to challenge this 4th, and when he does hit a Void Staff, which we're assuming is to be the 4th item, then he can really threaten to actually knock down Huni a lot faster.
Sadly, that bubble goes a little bit short here, but now Big Face checking in for some wards, finds a flay onto Lyra. Box actually not going to land, but actually gets the hook anyway through onto Lyra, so good damage dealt there. Looking for the big poke in the backside, not going to find it. Dardoch almost drops to the ult out of Demonte, but survives it just barely, and it's going to be everyone staying alive.
Yeah, it looked like maybe a Kaisa Q broke the spell shield from Nocturne.
Something else must have.
Because the box did not hit, and he didn't use it until after the flay. So something did break that spell shield on the Lyra, and they are able to land the hook, but nothing much comes from it. You see Vladimir on the bottom side, no one there to answer him. Clutch is just going to try to force elsewhere, but if OpTic can clear the waves, you're just giving up another turret, and it is 4th of the game going over to Dokla.
That's going pretty nicely. Then that part of the split push is working.
Going for the inhib.
But Nocturne comes back down, so who's going to answer the Vladimir? Finally, the recalls are coming through from 4 of them, but this turret's going to be well below half HP by the time they even complete those. Malphite's now on that side of the map. It's down below a third. It won't regen much more. 2 more autos, maybe just 1. That'll kill it. And Doke with the double Mountain Drake plus the Cloud to get away takes more of the map. And look at this Mountain number 3. Just as the recalls came through, there's no answer to this one. And the neutral objectives keep going over to OpTic.
Yeah, those AP champions really can work through the turrets very, very quickly. Void Staff is now complete, so Dokla certainly fully online at this point with double stasis available. And here this is one more time, so we'll try to catch what exactly it was. So the box gets dropped.
Oh, the W.
Same time. Very nicely done. We actually saw that there was a pretty known play that happened to Reckless. The Silver Spell Shield got broke, and they'd use the same combo where Kaisa breaks the Spell Shield as Thresh lands the hook, and they were able to kill Reckless in what turned into a very unfortunate game for him, but Huni will get his revenge. Knocks down his turret.
He kills Piglet's turret. He's like, hey, you guys didn't do this during the landing phase. I'll do it later on against Vladimir, and he keeps this game close. 400 gold only separates them, and even with all the Vlad split pushing, it's still only the 1 turret difference, so it really is Clutch going blow for blow here, getting themselves closer into the mid game and looking for those big plays. Finds the knockup, whether it be the follow through as Doko's on a half HP. Pops the ult, channels the E, and Huni's almost dead. Pops that first Zonia's. Redemption coming down as well. No knockup. Pops the second stopwatch. Pickles at 5 health. They can't quite get it though, but there's still more poke coming through. Dardoch can't quite get the Q onto Piglet. He jumps over the wall. Now Malphite in the front line, but he's out of mana. Looking at Vulcan maybe next as Big goes over the wall, pulls his team across. They're gonna catch up on a Lyra. Guardian Angel should be going down, and it's actually no. He jumps over to Dardoch and pops that one instead. Crown finally trades the cooldown back, and here's a puddle underneath. There should not be a way out, and indeed there's not. It's a 1-for-0 long turn. OpTic get ahead.
Clutch try to go for that fight, try to force the engage, but this time Dokla is equal to the task, using all of his stasis, all of his immunities, and buying so much time there for the rest of the squad. It is only the 1 kill in the exchange there, as certainly they made them work for it. Drops the ultimate on 2, is able to get the empowered Q out into the stopwatch, comes straight out of that, worried about the hook hitting him, the ult hitting him there. And he is going to drop the second stopwatch immediately, and then Piglet barely able to skirt over the wall. It looked like that Dardoch shot blast just barely not hitting him.
Yeah.
And this was honestly really clever from Lyra. I think well played for him to actually delay this, ulting away from the rest of the team to not only force the GA there from Dardoch, but to get a kill. And now it is OpTic on the Baron.
Baron number 2, triple Mountain Drake, and Lyra's nowhere to be seen, plus nulls, but there's again no smite.
Big
He doesn't
ulti.
have it either. Dives in, but again, there cannot be a Baron steal, and Dokla going to kill off Vulcan. Spike comes through, it's actually picked up by Arrow, and the fight continues, and both supports are going to be down. Now Huni has got to watch away from this pit, but there's no way actually out, so Arrow finds his second kill. It's 8-8 overall, but the power play certainly with OpTic again.
Yeah, Huni hits a nice ultimate, but no one is there to actually follow up on it. As the bot lane is getting 1v2'd by the Vladimir here. And Demonte cannot actually get in range, so OpTic going to be looking a lot better this time around with the Baron buff. Should be able to go right back to that split push. We'll see it one more time here as Huni is getting a lot of damage out and does land a nice ultimate. But again, watch where Piglet and Vulcan are. Look where Demonte are. They're not really able to get too much out to follow it up as Dokla's going forward, takes down Vulcan, pushes Piglet completely out of the fight, and this fed Vladimir is really getting a lot done there as Huni's just able to be corralled and taken down.
Yeah, really nicely done. The follow-up just simply was not to be had, and really nice team fight as Dokla puts on 3,000 and one-shots the poor Braum and almost takes down Piglet and Lucian with him. And now once again on side, and this time Baron buffed up on the Vladimir, and who's going to stop this split push? Bot lane turret's already gone. Mid lane tier 2 certainly going to fall, looks like, as well. And this is starting to go really OpTic's way here. Poised to go 4 and 6.
Certainly sitting in a very good position. It's going to take a great engage and some really strong follow-up here from Clutch, but if your bot lane is just losing to this Vladimir now, the Lucian has not really been too effective, has been able to be kind of pushed out by this Vladimir, then even if Huni goes forward and hits the big ult, Vladimir's just going to dive your backline and try to push them away.
They hook one of the tanks. They can't quite kill him yet. He's pretty durable and Vladimir's far, but he's got an open road to this bottom inhibitor. Huni walking down, clearly in vision, and Dokla does not feel perturbed at all. Clears the minions. Arrows here also, and they've got to respect Malphite onto the back line. He's got the exhaust. He can certainly set up some kind of a combo, but a bottom inhibitor is gone. Gold lead 4,500. OpTic still waiting to keep pushing with a minute on Baron.
And look at the top wave there. They have that set up, so that is going to be coming in. They can Baron buff up 2 waves if they want, but they're pushing in here.
Dedicated top side, good engage comes through. They can't quite the kill. No, they do. They knock down big, so a 1-for-0 as they pile in the ultimates. But a 1-for-0 will buy some time as there's no trade kills, and can you keep pushing even with Baron buff 4v5? Looks like no, OpTic will back off, but Elder Dragon's on the map.
Yeah, they want the Elder here. They still have a minute or so on Baron, but they're going to try to retreat back. Remember, Triple Mountain is going to make this Elder so fast that they're sitting on 4 dragons, so Crown is zoning right now with the poke.
That means they're
They
definitely
may
not
have already
hitting.
Ooh, this
This would be a bit difficult to do with just the two
I
of them,
think
though.
Dardoch's already on it.
Oh, they are trying, but keep in mind, Clutch can come forward. Malphite ults up in 3 seconds. He can find and engage. We can see those ticks that it is taking damage. Down to 2,400. They're not looking. Elder Dragon's picked up, but they're certain to find a kill. You have to believe. Arrow's days are numbered and he gets shot down. Looks like bullets are better after all, and Dokla's got to run away. Gets over the wall, stays alive. A single kill bled out, but yes, that Elder Dragon is duoed. Well played by OpTic there.
Yeah, really good job. Arrow and Crown just buying time for Dokla and Dardoch to knock down that 4-stack Elder. And that is going to be terrifying with this poke comp. Add all that additional damage onto Jace, onto Zoe, who is poking you out, and even onto Dokla, who's now on a full 6 items here. As we watch this one more time, it was a really good scatter of the week and the kind of commitment there onto Crown that allows them to buy some time to push in. Arrow does get caught out on the side, and Huni, with a good ultimate, knocks him back in with the blast cone, so they are able to chase him down, but that bought more than enough time for the Elder, and you're going to be really happy to trade that 1 kill for that huge lethal objective.
And that's going to be a quick blue taken as well, and Elder Dragon on for a minute and a half. I have to say, though, this week I have really enjoyed OpTic's decision-making in pardon the pun clutch decisions, where you had the last game was ended because of a bait around Elder into Tom Kenchel top lane. Here they're willing to have their 2 major carries bait 5 people while the other 2 take Elder, and they bleed only a single kill for a 5-stack Elder Dragon. These are tough calls to make. Big, I feel like, is the guy to make these types of calls. I think he's really, really smart in these awkward situations. I am glad he's still in the lineup, but this feels like a part of OpTic's identity is I love Big shot calling in these scenarios. I really think it's him, and it's been correct.
Yeah, it certainly has looked very, very good, and they're willing to commit bodies to kind of give up lives to be able to grab these neutral objectives. They're playing very heavily to that style of game, right? Utilizing the Vladimir to draw pressure elsewhere, trying to attack objectives on the other side of the map as they did with Dragon repeatedly, then earlier trying that again with Baron, and now here with the Elder. So it's certainly been a repeat game plan.
Nice try by Piglet, puts Crown to half HP. I like the idea, but the lantern is already there for Big, and Elder Dragon's on for 20 more seconds. They need 1 auto to knock down the inhibitor, but they have to respect Malphite. These carries are mostly flashless, and they're not willing just yet. They finally back off. They will knock down the turret. A bubble lands, but Malphite is tanky. Mid lane under fire. Yeah, Dokla slams this thing with the elixir to help on as well, and as this buff times out, do they have to respect this fight? It's Dokla coming in, but it's all blocked by the shield. Pops the stopwatch. But there could be an easy re-engage, the knock-up and the shutdown. He dies right away, and he'll be dead during the Baron spawn. And Dardoch's days are numbered. He's been feared. They're chasing. The GA is almost popped. He goes back in goes the Kaisa. It's Arrow trying to clutch it out right now. They're going to get the GA out of Lyra, and it's actually Clutch forced to run away. The health bar's just far too low. They will knock down this jungler. OpTic stay alive with 4 against 4, and the health bars are low. The poke could land. They will delete Demonte, but in the backside, Crown will lose his spot as well. And now it's Big fighting Piglet. That's an easy win for Lucian. Takes him out right there, getting revenge for the lore. But now watch out as Dardoch is getting shot at. The GA could come down. They will knock down 1. They will knock down the second. Pyrrha, he will just simply lifesteal. Piglet's going to be fine. They will get the 3v1. They will get the kills. The inhib will die. It's the ace, and there's a Baron ready for the taking.
They've got to rush it immediately, though. Piglet turned around what would have been a game-ending play there, picking up multiple kills, but they are triple inhib. They know their only chance is taking the Baron away and stalling.
Oh no, they can't do it.
They can't do it. They don't feel they have enough damage, and Dokla's TPing in, so I think they're right. They're going to try to fight him here. We'll see if they can even do it.
2v1, can they kill him? The Q's not going to land. This could be big damage. Piglet does not get hit by the E nor the Hemo Plague, doing too much there, but he's so healthy, he's able to get away. Burns the TP, burns the flash. Those are at least cooldowns down.
Yeah,
Fate stays alive.
Do get the summoners. You can see how much damage this guy is doing, though. That was just the ultimate and the Q on Vulcan that almost killed him from full. The 6-item Vladimir, certainly terrifying. And despite the fact that he did get killed off in the base, he again knocked some of these members so low that it looked like OpTic was going to win out on the fight. And now they are heading to the Baron pit. All OpTic needs to do is buy time. You do not need to start this Baron. You just wait for Clutch to come to you, and then you run away.
Well, they're coming right now to this poor support, and Big's going to be in a 1v5 in a second, trying to buy time against Lear, but he will certainly drop, and that could be the opening needed. It's 2 dead inhibitors, but a 5v4 at Baron pit. And look at Zoe running down the map. It's Clutch Gaming realizing they can just lose the base. They've got to back out now.
Exactly. This is all OpTic needs to do. Just buy time. Let the supers push. There's 2 supers spawning per wave around here as the bottom lane inhibitor has respawned, so that is at least stopping, but there's multiple supers in the top lane. The mid lane has them pushing in as well. If they show on the map, then you start up the Baron. If they don't, you wait for the supers to push in.
And OpTic are closing in on a checkmate situation. If at any point you trade Baron for Elder, either trade is better for OpTic. You either get an empowered 5-stack Elder, or you get a Baron against a useless one. And honestly, either way, OpTic would be ahead, but they're going to take the Baron by itself without the opponents around to steal. Dokla simply zones them out. The Baron is glad without any issue at all, and despite being down in kills and only have 3,000 gold, it is still a commanding position for OpTic Gaming.
Yeah, Triple Mountain makes that so easy for them to 2-man. Kaisa plus Jace easily knocking that down in a matter of seconds, and now they're going to head over to the Elder, and they're going to try to utilize these inhibitors being down once more here. As you can see, the inhibitor is going to be back up pretty soon, but supers are pushing in the top side, and they're going to have Triple Mountain the added damage from the Baron buff, and they're going to be right by this second Elder, which would just be complete checkmate.
This is desperation. Clutch, I think, must stop the Elder Dragon from dying, or they will always lose this game from the point onwards with the double stack for 2.5 minutes. But Dokla's splitting. Again, there's more tools in the toolbox. So they've got to worry about the 4v5, though. If Huni finds the perfect engage and somehow that fight happens...
Dokla's going to come behind them here, though, Freak. I think he's wrapping around.
Timing matters because they found Crown before he could flank. They got the engage anyway. So now they say, okay, we've got to rush this down, but where's the Vladimir? When does he come in? Hook is only onto a tank. It's some damage, but is it enough? Now Dokla's spotted. Can they rush this down? Again, 4v5. Arrow goes in, turns invisible. They try one more time. They're up in the mix of it, and it's a 5v3, so Dokla has to carry, and he gets one trade kill. They found a second with Arrow as well, and Lyra has 5 health. Not shut down yet, but now it's suddenly 2 versus 4, and they can certainly walk this one down. The rest of the base, there's minions inside already. The turrets are gonna drop as well. Dardoch will find that kill, and Lyra against the world simply cannot happen. This is checkmated. It's going to end. OpTic will get the 2-0 week. They will take the win with the new lineup as well. This one's over. OpTic are tied for 6th.
And what a fight there. Arrow going so aggressive, diving in, drawing pressure. And OpTic are able to clean it up and take the game.
What a draft, flexing the Jace into the jungle, grabbing the Vladimir counter pick. A crazy, chaotic game. Lots of decisions to make around macro, where to be, what fights to take. More often than not, they were right. They spread their opponents out, and they got around the Malphite. They got the engages. Dokla on the front right there on your screen. A huge Vladimir game, lots of damage, pulled it through in the end.
Yeah, certainly such an interesting game there from OpTic. It felt like there may have been windows that Clutch was going to come back, but Clutch was never really able to get those big team fights at the time they wanted them. The only time they really were able to get a big advantageous team fight was when Dokla got picked in the bottom lane. They killed OpTic as they were doing the Baron, but besides that, OpTic was running them around the map. They were always winning the neutral objective game, taking all the dragons, all the elders, taking all the Barons, and certainly felt like they were in control of this game.
Yep. This is the kind of game, this is going to sound a little cheesy, but this is the kind of game you point to when you say, hey, objectives mean more than kills. I'm pretty sure even at the end, OpTic were still down in kills overall, and yes, they did bleed some out. The engages were pretty solid from Huni and Lyra especially, but they found every single Drake, every single Baron, as you mentioned, and that closed the game out for them. So now for more on that victory, let's hear from Ovly and OpTic's returning jungler.
Dardoch, congratulations. You have some really eccentric fans out there welcoming you back to starting for OpTic in the LCS. 2-0 weekend for you. Congratulations. But what are you doing back on the starting roster?
I was brought in mainly because Zab thinks I have a lot of experience with who he played. So I've been on a team with Piglet, I've been on a team with Huni, and I've been on a team with Demonte. So I'd like to say I know how they play as players, and Zab thinks that was the reasoning for using me over Will today.
That is smart. You have the insider knowledge then on them. But the last time that we spoke, you told me that before you went into your game, you had only played 2 games with Crown before playing in LCS. So did you get more practice for today?
Yeah, me and Crown have a lot of practice. We play pretty well together.
So it looks like OpTic is kind of building towards that 10-man roster. You guys have spoken about it before. What's preparation for that like?
Lot of internal talking, like about what meta is, you know what I mean? Like we spend most of our day around each other, so a lot of it is just talking and a lot of 1v1s and customs, especially. So honestly, utilizing the 10-man roster is honestly just as simple as it sounds. It's literally just using all 10 players and just making sure that they're, it's mutually beneficial, the relationships between Academy and LCS.
And last question, who's the 1v1 king in the house?
Austin, Gate.
Ooh, I'm excited to see more of that. But Dardoch, thank you and congratulations again. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Ovly. It's cool to hear that the idea being they were going to leverage Dardoch's knowledge of his opponent, specifically because he has played on a number of teams with these guys in order to come away with a victory. 2-0 weekend for OpTic Gaming. Things were looking kind of disastrous for them after the last couple weeks as the Meteos version of the roster wasn't picking up their wins, but they get a win each day this week with those different junglers. Dardoch back in the lineup. This was a scrappy and messy game, though. By no means are you going to walk away from this one going, we did it. you know, 100%, there's nothing to learn from this.
No, and I think especially with just how the last fight went even, you can see that they lose Crown earlier on, right there, and then the enemy team is like, great, we picked one, let's force a fight around this neutral objective, which they kind of need to do because the other team has 4 elemental drakes and 3 of them are mounts, so they're going to get rid of this very quickly. But you're using it more as bait to hopefully turn off and force a fight, but they stay on it for such a long time. They allow OpTic to be the ones to pick when they end up going in with Big hitting that hook, and then, you know, they're able to run through the fight relatively cleanly.
I think with this decision here, it's very tough for a team to know what to do there.
Yeah.
If I was CG's team right there, I think after getting that pick on the Zoe, I would have just recalled, to be honest, given the Elder Dragon. You've delayed about a minute or so of their Baron, and you can just take a fight later, because you can win a 5v5, but you don't win unless they actually do that 5v5 and you have your engage up. They only won because they killed Zoe, so they need to wait for them to come again and get another opportunity, because even if they get Elder there, they're going to have to fight for it, so they're going to die, and their bases are already going to die. Like, the neutrals were going to end that game right there.
Personally, I would have pulled off the dragon and I'd gone for the fight quicker.
Yeah.
Because the enemy team had 4 elemental drakes. If they pick up that elder dragon, then you have to wait a long time after that falls off, because that's so much true damage.
Yeah, if they have an engage after, go for it for sure.
But you're right, like
lost
it's
their
a
ult.
sticky situation to be in.
It's definitely a losing situation. It's hard to win from there. And either way, OpTic played better over the course of the game to put themselves in that situation.
Any play you make, there's a low percentage play just based on the hole that you're in at that point. It's a good point that the Malphite ultimate wasn't available to them because they had used it to zero out Crown, so not as many tools as maybe they would have liked in that moment. Let's roll it back, though, now, and let's talk about the champions that we saw in this game. Along with Dardoch's return to the stage, he brings out the jungle Jace.
I really like this. I mean, it's another poke champion to go with Zoe. And there are a couple times in the game where they actually land poke at the same time. And it's not poke. It's a sniper. It's a kill. It's basically a one-shot here when they get the shock blast and the paddle star landing at the exact same time. And it really was some reaction from both sides, because you can see the answers here where Malphite and Nocturne hard engage on these long-range champions. So I thought there was a good give and take in draft, and it came a lot down to how they executed in game.
Yeah, I think getting that early lead was really important for OpTic, because their team comp doesn't quite do anything super well. It does have these poke components, but the entire team doesn't really work that well with it, because Vladimir does not function a poke team. He's more of a team fighter. Kais is more of a team fighter, but then they have the poke side. So it was a little hard for their team comp to function mid to late game, which is why I think they had some of the difficulties closing out, but it was because they got these kinds of plays that they could take.
This is exactly what I was talking about, where Crown sets it up with the bubble. Dardoch landed the long-range shock blaster at the same time, and this started out such a big snowball of control for them. Mid lane here, then Crown's just back at it again himself, working on Demonte, whittling down his health.
Right. I think if OpTic didn't get these kills in the mid lane, this game would have been entirely different for them, because they had the counter pick of Malphite or Vladimir into Malphite top, and that doesn't really become a counter until like later in the game, or unless you camp the Malphite and dive him. So they needed someone to keep him in the game for a while, and Crown was that person. He's like, hey guys, we're falling behind, but I'll keep us in the game until you guys can do something useful, because no one else on the team is useful until later.
Right, and the fact that they had Kaisa plus triple Mountain pretty much guaranteed, like, come late game, you have the neutral objective advantage, and as we saw, that's kind of what they leaned on to actually close the game out.
Very much so. On top of all of that, Jace is just yet another flex pick now, right? Now that we've seen it can go jungle from top.
I told you I would have gotten out. I would have sold after the first.
I know, that's what you said, Kobe.
But you're still plus like 100,
Yeah,
right?
for reference, you're still up at a 1-1 record, losing 252. Wait, scroll back up. I want that number. Thank you very much. If they had won, you would have jumped up another $324
And then you'd be the richest
in the
man on this
LCS
table.
stock market. Would have been a big day for Kobe if they were able to close it out. But if you're looking for a way to rep your favorite team, the LCS merch store is now live. Grab official onstage jerseys from each of the LCS teams, as well as other LCS apparel at lcsmerch.com. To celebrate the launch of the store, We Are Nations is running a sweepstakes to win a trip for 2 to the spring finals in St. Louis and a free team jersey. Learn more at wearenations.com. Up next, it's Cloud9 versus CLG. We'll see you on the other side.